Step right into the world of most evil moments on paternity court, where we're about to delve into some seriously wicked situations. Hang on, because this one's going to give you the creeps. In the case of Garrett versus Boyer, we have a situation where a woman from Philadelphia waited for 2 years before bringing her former lover, Mr. Boyer, to court to establish the paternity of her 2-year-old daughter, Naomi. The court proceedings were led by Judge Lake, and it all began when Miss Garrett confidently claimed that Mr. Boyer was the biological father of her child. She asserted this belief based on a month of consistent, unprotected sexual relations with Mr. Boyer.
Prove that the defendant, Mr. Boyer, is the biological father of your 2-year-old daughter, Naomi. Is that
yes,
correct?
Your Honor.
You say that after a month of non-stop, unprotected sex with the defendant, you are 100% sure that he fathered your child.
However, Mr. Boyer had a different perspective. He argued that he couldn't possibly be the father because he had only recently learned of Naomi's existence 2 months before the court case. The main point of contention in this case was the timeline. Miss Garrett insisted that Mr. Boyer was the only potential father, but he was not convinced, citing the short duration of their sexual relationship and the fact that she had been in another relationship afterwards.
Fathered your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Boyer, you say there's no way that you could be the biological father of Miss Garrett's baby.
To get a better understanding of the situation, Judge Lake inquired about the nature of their relationship. It was revealed that Miss Garrett and Mr. Boyer were not in an exclusive relationship. They were just friends who had engaged in a month-long period of unprotected sexual activity. Mr. Boyer emphasized that he had never believed he was the only person Miss Garrett was involved with, given the casual nature of their relationship.
Understand the nature of your relationship. How did you two meet? What was this relationship? Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
The twists and turns in this case continued. Miss Garrett, after initially blocking Mr. Boyer on social media, began communicating with him again when her relationship with another man didn't work out. She told Mr. Boyer that the paternity test had ruled out the other potential father, leading her to believe that he was Naomi's biological father.
First she said yeah, then she said no, and then she blocked me from asking her over and over. I was trying to get a clear story out of her, and she just blocked me like, no, like...
Yes,
you know
yes, Your Honor. I blocked him on Facebook. I sure did, because I wanted to continue my happy little relationship.
Well, Mr. Boyer's emotions ranged from shock to anger at this revelation. He expressed regret that he had potentially missed 2 years of his daughter's life. However, he was also determined to find out the truth and take responsibility if he was indeed the father. Judge Lake admonished Miss Garrett for her previous behavior of blocking Mr. Boyer and displaying a negative attitude towards him. She urged Miss Garrett to be prepared for any outcome and to consider the possibility of co-parenting with Mr. Boyer if the DNA test confirmed his paternity. The story unfolds as Thermika Muller, a resilient young Texan woman, comes to court with a simple yet profound hope: to finally establish a connection with the man she believes is her biological father, Thurman Robinson. It's a story filled with emotion, pain, and a deep yearning for closure and familial bonds. Miss Muller's journey had been anything but easy. She grew up in challenging circumstances, experiencing a turbulent childhood marked by heartbreak and emotional turmoil. Raised in foster care with limited contact with her birth parents, she faced adversity head-on and decided to turn her life around. She joined the military, got married, and excelled academically, showing incredible determination and resilience.
Mrs. Mueller, you say that after an extremely painful childhood, filled with much heartbreak and pain, you turned your life around, joined the military, and got married.
However, the one question that continued to haunt her was the identity of her biological father. The question led her to bring Mr. Robinson, a man she believed to be her father, to court to establish a legal and emotional connection.
But the one thing you still need to know is who is your dad.
Mr. Robinson, on the other hand, admitted to having doubts about his paternity. Despite these doubts, he had been a presence in Miss Muller's life since her birth. He even signed her birth certificate, acknowledging her as his child.
You claim that you've always known you are not Ms. Mueller's biological father and feel badly that you pretended to be just to stop her from being heard. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, the emotional turmoil in the courtroom was palpable as Miss Muller poured her heart out. She expressed her deep hurt and anger, recounting instances where she felt abandoned by the man she believed to be her father. Her deployment to Iraq and the lack of support from Mr. Robinson during a difficult time left her feeling unloved and unsupported.
I'm so hurt. I just feel like nobody cares, or like...
Mr. Robinson, however, maintained that he had always been there for Miss Muller, despite his doubts. He spoke of the importance of taking care of one's children and explained that he had doubts about her parentage due to certain circumstances surrounding her birth. He recalled a situation where he found another man in their home, which fueled his uncertainty.
Even from the day she was born up to this present day, even with my doubts that she was not my daughter, I was there for her.
Miss Muller's mother, Miriam Cobbs, stood by her daughter's side and refuted Mr. Robinson's claims of infidelity. She stated unequivocally that Mr. Robinson was indeed the father of her child. She shared photographs of herself during pregnancy, clearly showing Muller's name on the birth certificate as the father.
Positive that Mr. Robinson was Miss Muller's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
True.
When I was pregnant, yes, ma'am.
When
I
you
was
were
pregnant with D'Amica.
At that time, it looks like you were embracing your child
Thank
that's going
you.
to be born.
However, tensions arose due to perceived differences in treatment, and Miss Muller often felt like an outsider within her own family. These misunderstandings and a lack of open communication had caused significant emotional distress for both Miss Muller and her father.
I was thinking, there's a family. I can go be with some family. When I got there, I felt like I didn't belong.
Your Honor, she's lying.
They treated me like I was an outsider. I didn't get along with.
In a surprising turn of events, the DNA test results brought clarity to the case. The results confirmed that Mr. Robinson is indeed Miss Muller's biological father. The revelation was met with a mix of emotions, from shock to relief, as the truth finally emerged.
You are her father.
What? Bam! Bam!
In conclusion, the case highlights the importance of open communication, understanding, and emotional support within families. Here comes another evil case. A Las Vegas woman named Gina Fuller embarked on a quest to uncover the identity of her biological father. This emotional journey began with a confession from her mother on her deathbed, revealing that the man listed on Miss Gina's birth certificate was not her real father. According to Miss Gina's late mother, her biological father was a well-known singer who had been the love of her life.
You say that on your mother's deathbed, she confessed your dad was not the man listed on your birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Gina, now 47 years old, had carried the weight of this revelation for decades, feeling displaced and uncertain about her true roots. The pivotal moment in her life occurred when her mother disclosed the possibility that her father might be now a stranger to her. Their virtual encounters led to conversations and a growing sense of bonding, although they had never met face to face.
Never met him.
No. I was able to find him on Facebook, and I befriended him, and...
In a heartwarming turn of events, Mr. Neal made his way into the courtroom. The emotional meeting between Miss Gina and Mr. Neal was a momentous one, filled with anticipation, tears, and the hope of finding answers to the burning questions that had haunted Miss Gina for so long.
Can I hug you?
Well, Mr. Neal shared his recollections of his relationship with Lorraine, Miss Gina's mother. He reminisced about their love story, which began during the challenging era of the 1960s, a time when interracial relationships were met with skepticism and disapproval. Despite societal pressures, Mr. Neal and Lorraine fell deeply in love.
Do you remember her mother, Lorraine?
Yes, I was singing in a band at the time, and that's where I met her in the nightclub, and we started dating.
Yes.
When she came down to the club, I would take her home. She lived in
However, their love story was short-lived, and Mr. Neal believed that Lorraine had left him because she thought he prioritized his music over their relationship. He didn't know that Lorraine had married someone else and moved to a different city. It wasn't until decades later, through Miss Gina's Facebook message, that Mr. Neal learned about the possibility of having a daughter.
Did you ever hear that she had a daughter?
Well, I never heard. I didn't know I had a daughter. You know, it's 47 years, you know.
Throughout this emotional journey, Miss Gina's father, the man she had always known as her dad, had prepared a timeline of potential biological fathers as part of his efforts to relinquish his paternal rights. He was often away due to military service, further complicating the search for Miss Gina's true father. Purpose.